Welcome back, everybody, to this week's live episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel and also our good friends over at, I love that we can say this now, the DCL
DCL
Magazine.
Magazine.
No more qualifying it. It is the DCL Magazine. If you have not already, head over there and subscribe today. They got some great deals to get your subscription. Be a first wave crew member, I think they're calling it, of the DCL Magazine. You can head over to dcl-magazine.com. That's dcl-magazine.com. And if you use code DCL Duo, you can take an extra 10% off your subscription and anything else that they have over there in the WDW magazine store, calendars, other magazine subscriptions. They've got digital, they've got hard copy, they got everything over there. Great stuff, great crew of people. We love Stephanie, Danny, Tatiana. I'm trying to remember who else we got to meet. Tim. Oh God, yeah. Tim's the name I don't remember because he's in my inbox, saying, where's that article? But actually, I love you, Tim. Love the whole crew over there. They got a great product, great magazine. So head over there, show them some love. You support the show anytime you support one of our sponsors. So dcl-magazine.com, code DCL Duo, all caps, for an extra 10% off. Before we bring in our guest, we had to pivot. We were Ross on Friends tonight. Pivot. So we had to pivot tonight. Our planned guest was unavailable this evening. We will hope to have Blair on at some point in the future, but she was not available this evening. So we phoned a friend, one of our favorite friends, one of our best friends of the show, and we're bringing in Mr. Chad Pennycuff from the My DVC Points podcast. Chad, great to have you back on the show.
Oh, great to be here. So, hello, Sam. Hello, Brian. Welcome home, everybody, because I'm a DVC guy. So that's kind of our signature phrase there.
Greeting.
And,
you got to give everybody a welcome home greeting. I got to say, first of all, Chad, thank you for coming on the show last minute. We so appreciate you. I also got to say, thank you for sharing that video of that little droid in the hyperspace lounge on the Wish. For those who saw that video on our Instagram, Chad was the one who actually took that video and interviewed, I believe it was the cruise director, and we were able to get that video to you immediately. It was breaking news. It was actually the droid's first appearance on Disney Cruise Line. So it was on the Wish and Hyperspace Lounge. And then I believe later that cruise, or maybe it was the cruise after yours, Chad, that little droid started making appearances both in the cargo bay as well for kind of a little creature lesson where they learned about all the different creatures in the cargo bay. Really cute. I got a video from another listener of our show.
The introduction of the droid into Hyperspace Lounge almost makes me want to retract all of the negative things I have said about Hyperspace Lounge, but it looks so amazing. Was it as cool in person as it looked on video, Chad?
It was. He was very interactive and walked around and interacted with guests, and he was on a mission there to learn about drinks and what people are doing. So the droid was collecting data for his AI, right? And
I love it.
Oh,
that's
amazing.
So cute.
Amazing.
That's awesome. Well, that was your most recent cruise, Chad. But Chad, you are working your way up to gold status cruiser, aren't you?
I have hit gold because I did one the weekend after that as well.
Nice.
So snuck down to Fort Lauderdale and jumped on the Dream for a 3-nighter just to hit my gold before Alaska this summer.
We got to get you and Lincoln. We got to get you and Lincoln on the Destiny. I think he's a Marvel kid, right? He likes Marvel.
Yeah, that's booked for August. So
amazing!
You guys are such a bad influence on me, man. I'm just telling you.
We've joked a few times. Our show needs to come with
a bad influence on us with all those DVC points that we racked up.
So many. We've joked that our show needs to come with a black box warning that it may impact your bank account. But yeah. Well, let's dive into some news because we want to head over to talk about this DVC member sailing. That's our topic for this evening. And but let's start with the news. I have a couple quick hit items on the news, and then I think Sam wants to take the headline for the week, but a couple quick hits on the news. First is, I wish I had a wah sound, but the Wonder yesterday departed Sydney, Australia for the last time, and so she is making.
Technically, it was today because it was Monday, but it was actually yesterday.
No, but it was Monday yesterday in Australia, so she left yesterday. So So
It's
yes,
time travel. It's
it was
time travel.
Sunday our time that she departed Sydney, Australia for the final time, ending the Wonder Down Under experiment that Disney went through there.
Very sad.
Probably
Thumbs
lots.
down only because we're sad about it.
Yeah, probably lots of reasons that ultimately didn't pan out fully for Disney in the long term. But the Wonder is making her way back across the Pacific. She of course has I think it's an 11-night sailing between Sydney and Honolulu, where she'll stop at some of the Southern Pacific islands. And then she will make her way over to San Diego for some Pacific Coast cruising here in the spring before she heads back up to Vancouver to join her sister ship, right? Is Magic's headed up to Vancouver this summer, I think, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yes,
That's
it
right.
definitely is.
Yeah.
2 ships sailing out of Vancouver for the Alaska season this year. I gotta talk about a couple of these comments that I love. First, Lauren Porter is saying, "Good evening, all, and both of your podcasts are bad influences to my wallet." So, like I said, add-on-itis. Chad talks about it all the time on his podcast, and then of course, booking that, especially when those itinerary releases come out. I know that we're hurting other people's wallets. So I'm sorry, Lauren, but you're right.
Those should be
And
coming.
then
Those might be coming next week or the week after, actually, for summer 2027.
Yes,
So, yeah.
yes, we're expecting in the next couple of weeks that itinerary release. And don't worry, when there's an itinerary release, we will have a show. If we can't do it on the day that the itineraries come out, we will do it the very next day. Obviously, it's just a matter of what our schedules are on whichever day it actually comes out. Also, I had to pull up. I got to say, Nathan Novak's comment here. I love it. If you have a friend on the Wonder, ask them for the lottery numbers before they cross the date line. I love that. It's all about time travel. Absolutely.
And Linda, we'll get to this in a second. Let me shift us over to the second piece of kind of housekeeping news here, which is Disney Adventure has now cleared the Panama Canal. So she has made it from the East Coast over here to the West Coast, and she will be making her way up to Los Angeles, and expect to see her in Los Angeles, Long Beach, docking hopefully later this week to, we believe, simply reprovision the ship before she heads across to Asia. And so there's we can say we have not been invited to come down and tour the ship. We have not heard of anyone being invited to come down and tour the ship. I think she may still be a bit of a work in progress, and so she will dock in LA and then head over to Asia.
Yeah,
Sam.
there are some family members, just for those wondering. Like, there are some, there's of course cast members, both from corporate and crew members for the ship on board, and with some of their family members as well. So we do know a couple folks on board, but they're not allowed to share anything like pictures or information about what's going on in the ship.
I really wanted some pictures or video of her coming under the Bridge of the Americas, because that was the sticking point, was that she seemed a little too tall to make it under the Bridge of the Americas. And so I'm guessing they had to do it at low tide. So I know the funnels for a while were still under scaffolding, but I think they removed that in Port Canaveral. So, or at least before she got there. But yeah, so the Adventure is making her way up north along the coast. If you're out there listening and you're not a crew member on board, because we don't want to solicit you to get in trouble with Disney, but if you, for whatever reason, were like, oh, I'm in Panama visiting the canal, and I'd love to take some photos of the ship going through, we'd love to see them, share them with us, just to see what that looked like going through the canal. Sam, you have the headline of the week. So
yeah. Okay. So right now, all I have here is my monkey towel animal and my elephant towel animal, because these have been on Disney Cruise Line now for a while, for more than a year. I want to say 2 years. I can't remember exactly when they came out, but these are towel animal plushies. And for those of you who've been paying attention, there was a commercial about maybe a year ago now that had a dog towel animal plushie, and he was wearing a really cute Disney hat. It was Disney, sort of the original looking ears, right? The black ear hat with the ears that are like everybody would get with their name embroidered on the back. It's a great. First went to Disney.
It's a great commercial. You should head over to YouTube and find it. It was just heartwarming. He's sitting on the bed,
and
Kleenex.
Bring Kleenex.
He's sitting on the bed, wagging his tail, and the tagline is kind of like, "We miss you," and the door to the stateroom opens, and he thinks it's going to be a new family to welcome, and it turns out to be one of the house attendant or the stateroom attendants, And
Yes.
he gets a little sad, and then the stateroom attendant starts taking him around the ship so he can see everything on the ship. And then, of course, the commercial ends with him back in his stateroom, and then a family comes in, and he's
Is
all
coming
excited.
in for their stay, and he's all she
And we
actually is apparently it's a
she.
she because
Well, we said, hold
Evie.
on. We said at the time, just real fast. We said at the time
Oh yeah,
they were selling the plushies that Sam already has, and we said if
right
they
here,
don't
these two
sell
guys.
this, they're crazy, and they didn't. And it
Yeah.
took months and months and months. Like I think it's been almost a year, and now
Yes.
finally, Evie
Finally,
has
Evie.
arrived.
Hey, stop it, Brian! You took the headline from me. You said I got to do the headline, but you
Finally,
took it
one
from
for
me, you
me,
jerk.
one for me.
Anyway, so Evie, I don't have her yet, but I have her. So let me explain. Friends of ours, our good friends, the Morals, were just on the Wish this weekend. And I believe they were on one of the first sailings, maybe not the first, but one of the first sailings that Evie became available. And so they were able to grab me one. They said that Evie was being sold on board for $26.99 minus any discounts that you might have that apply. So DVC member discounts, Castaway Club discounts, that sort of a thing. And
That's
they were
cheap by
limit
DCL standards. By
yeah,
the way.
they were
Yeah.
limit 2 per stateroom, and they only had about 30 on board on the Wish. We did hear that they had been on the Fantasy maybe a week prior to when they were on the Wish, or a week prior to that sort of announcement, and that they are popping up on the other ships, but they are not necessarily great in stock right now. So we don't know what the stock looks like across the fleet. In fact, we heard from somebody on the Wish today that boarded today that there weren't any in the store this evening. And so they obviously didn't get restocked since the last cruise. Their shelves apparently got emptied. So we know that, I just want to tell people, Evie is available, but stock is going to probably be a little bit bumpy for a while. And hopefully eventually what will happen, like what happened with these guys, is they eventually got enough stock that they're able to keep them on the shelves. But for probably the next couple of months, they're going to be hard to find. Just wait. Don't get them on eBay. Don't let those resellers charge you 3 times the
Well,
price.
I want to applaud Disney Cruise Line for limiting 2 per stateroom in order to sort
Yeah.
of cut back on that, because I do think someone could have walked in and bought all 30 of them, and then I think that. So I love that they implemented that. Chad, I got to know, next time you're on board, if you spot one of these, are you buying one?
I'm buying one for me, for Sam, if she doesn't have hers. I've already got a list of texts from people who knew I spent the last couple weekends on a DCL ship going, can you get me one of these? And I was like, yeah. Look, they weren't there.
Yeah, not yet. Well, I will say, like I said, the Morals have one for me. They're fostering Evie for me until I can pick her up, and so I really appreciate that. I've had a couple of other friends and listeners reach out and say if they, if I asked me if I needed one, but I really appreciate it because I was like ready to book a cruise to get on tomorrow just to get one. I will be completely honest. I got to mention something from the chat. Another piece of news we haven't mentioned. There's been some recent Dream and Wish discounts. And so folks have been getting discounts applied even after they booked. And so kudos to Disney for actually doing that, even when after some folks
they did that for me as well. It went on Florida resident rate, and they just automatically, I had to call them for that one. But then when the placeholder discount kicked in for Alaska this summer, they just automatically didn't even anything. They just issued the credit for the one room that was paid off and dropped the price on the second one. Yeah. Kudos to DCL for doing that. That was really unexpected, but really, really nice. What it does is it says, hey, go ahead and book the cruise you want. And if it goes on sale, you're good.
Which is frankly how a lot of other cruise lines work, right? On Royal, if you book a sailing and it goes on a sale later or a discount later, you can just, you can play the game of, well, I'll cancel and rebook and take the savings. So I'm glad to see Disney kind of embracing that. I think we may see a lot more sales coming out of the cruise line moving forward as the fleet expands. The supply's going way up, and we are hearing things like friends we've had on board the last this past weekend and then next weekend, I think, Sam, not this upcoming weekend but a weekend later,
no, this upcoming weekend,
like 15-16 unsold concierge rooms on board, which is gotta not be great from a from a financial standpoint for Disney. So lots of port upgrades available still. So I think the fleet is expanding, and I think Disney needs to generate some goodwill amongst the community, and then also some more demand to start filling these ships. So, all right, Sam, I think we should. Oh, actually, I wanted to say one more thing about Evie, which is I think we're going to start a trend here where we're going to take Evie with us on like the ABD and stuff, and like just take Evie around the world with us. So so watch out for that. I think Sam might need a second Evie, so she's got like just a nice, clean, perfect Evie, and then one we can, as our friend Willie would say, one to rock, one to stock. So there you go. All right. Let's shift over. So our topic for tonight is this DVC member sailing. We talked about it like a little bit briefly at the top of last week's show because it got announced last week. So this is
that was 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, Brian.
Oh, really? It's been that long?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Time
I know.
Flies. So this is the 2027 DVC member cruise that they have announced for April of 2027. I just want to briefly give the itinerary here. So it is on the Disney Wonder. It's April 7th, departing from San Diego, California. It will then head to Catalina Island, which personally, one of my favorite port stops on DCL. I think it's just a fun, tight little port stop that you can get off and see a lot of things, really, in a day that you feel like you actually got to experience the port. Then
let's just say there's not a ton to see on Catalina. It's one of those like kind of one and done type places, but it's a really cute port.
No, you can like rent a golf cart.
Yeah, it's a cute port. Hopefully your luck is better than mine because I came in on a heavy fog day. And so they don't come, there's no like port. They like dock in the middle of the ocean and tender on in. Yeah. And we parked and there was like foghorns going off continually.
Oh, that's right. All night long. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, yeah.
So it will head to Catalina. First stop's Catalina the day after it embarks. Then Friday, April 9th is a day at sea. Saturday, they are arriving in San Francisco, California, and we're going to come back to that in a second. They are overnighting in San Francisco, Port of San Francisco. So 2 days in San Francisco, then a day at sea to take you down to Ensenada for the required international stop under the Passenger Service Vessel Act. And then they will head back to San Diego and disembark the following day. So 7-night sailing on the Wonder in April, West Coast cruise. I'm pretty excited about this itinerary. Chad, you were a little skeptical. We were talking off air ahead of the show, and I mentioned it's a West Coast sailing. You're kind of like, so like, is there anything?
I like my warm weather. Yeah, like I did and that cruise. April. Yeah, last spring about this time, and it was just too cold. It was just way too cold. Yeah, and I mean,
see, I love sweatshirt weather.
Yeah, but 2 weekends ago I went on the Wish and the Dream, and once we got into the ocean was a little cold like at the private islands, but it was still in the 70s and 80s. So in January, like, sign me up. Okay.
I do love that they're showing a little love to their West Coast DVC members. I think that is nice.
That is nice. That is nice because we have so many out of, here in Florida, we're a little spoiled.
Yeah. Oh, Ed's saying, Chad, just go spend a few weeks in Michigan and then go to California.
Then go to California. You'll be like,
I actually did that. I had to go up to Michigan to pick up Lincoln to bring him with me. So
that's right. Yeah. I will say the one oddity that struck me about this sailing is, and I know it's entirely itinerary based and like where the ship's doing the 3-4 nights, and so to get a 7-night out of it, they're straddling a Wednesday to Wednesday, which for us on the West Coast, there's a lot of spring breaks that will happen those 2 weeks, but they're straddling spring breaks. So in order for us to like take Nathan on this, we're gonna have to pull him out of school. I don't know. We may break our rule and fly down Wednesday morning to get on this cruise, but I am gonna vehemently try to talk Sam out of that approach.
No, we're not gonna fly down Wednesday morning. We're gonna fly down Tuesday night. We're not. He's not gonna miss Tuesday school, but we're gonna take whatever like the last flight is on Tuesday night down to San Diego, so that he doesn't have to miss school. That's the way we're gonna handle it.
What I do love about this is that because it disembarks on a Wednesday, which will be during his spring break, we can then couple that with a little bit of time at Disneyland. So it's nice to see that opportunity. I think that's a great way to use this cruise.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you're from the East Coast, you can come out, you can do the cruise, you can go to Disneyland. Disneyland's like a weekend park, so you don't really have to be there
Right.
for a week.
Or if your spring break, your family's spring break is that first week of the cruise, right? You can do a couple of days at Disneyland before. And I think, we tell people, oh, if you're going to, pair a parks trip and a cruise, we usually recommend, of course, doing the parks trip first. But I don't really think with Disneyland that recommendation is nearly as strong as at World, because I feel like Disneyland is just a little bit more chill than World as far as, all of the rope dropping and running and the walking. You don't have to walk nearly as much distance to get around the parks.
I was gonna say, Chad's been to both. I'd love his thoughts on this, because like our recommendation is always do the World trip, then do the cruise to relax, then get off and go home. I think that's probably less compelling for a Disneyland trip.
Yeah, I think in Disneyland you're safe either way. And I would prefer the parks ahead of time so that I can just go from San Diego Cruise Port around the corner to the airport.
Yeah.
And then you fly home Wednesday when you get off, and then you're back in school Thursday, Friday, if that's your deal. Right.
Yeah.
So to me, then you're only out 3 days for this, as opposed to if you do it, before or after, because you've definitely got to get down there before. I'm Team Sam on this one. Yeah. Fly in at least the night before.
Tracy, I see your comment that you sit on a throne of lies here, Sam. She walked 15 miles on Saturdays. We were at the Run Disney event this past weekend. The 15 miles there for Tracy includes the 6.2 mile 10K that she ran. So, let's back up and talk a little bit about what a member cruise. Well, a member cruise is, because DVC has member cruises. So this year's member cruise is over in Europe. And then they have these first wave sailings.
Right. I'll jump in. Well, I
was just going to say, on the first wave sailings, they require you to use points to book at least one person in the stateroom. Member cruises are different. Sam,
yes,
take it away. I'm sure Chad can fill some things in, because he's talked to plenty of people who've been on these cruises too.
Yeah. So I will say, for a member cruise, the difference of the member cruise is you have to be a Blue Card member or a grandfathered in Blue Card member, meaning direct points, not resale points. Like I said, grandfathered in, meaning if you bought resale, if you bought resale points a while ago, you might have that Blue Card benefit. And yes, you have to have at least 150 points. You need to own, in order to be a member that qualifies to book one of these cruises, you've got to have that many points direct. Now, a member cruise, you do not typically have to book anyone on points, but you can book one person, two people, all the people, it doesn't matter. Disney will give us a points chart and a price chart. They have not released that yet, so we can't say exactly what it's going to be. But I would tell folks, if you want an idea, look at the member cruise pricing for this year's member cruise, which is in Europe on the Disney Fantasy this September. And then the biggest thing, or the biggest difference about a member cruise versus just your regular cruise is, one, everybody who's on, at least one person in their stateroom, is in fact a member. And two, they have special gifts every day and special presentations across the cruise. So that might mean you might get some extra special Broadway stars. So Disney on Broadway typically will bring on maybe 2, maybe 4 individuals who are in a Disney Broadway show, and they will do some kind of performance in the main stage theater. They might have folks like Ducky Williams, who of course is very well known for all of his drawings. In fact, he does all of the lithographs, the prints that you get on Disney Cruise Line for any kind of special cruise, or if you stay concierge. Those lithograph prints that you get are almost always, actually, I think they've always been from Disney Cruise Line, ones that Ducky Williams has done. He's also done them for all kinds of special events, but pretty much a lot of that Disney art, and he likes to call it something like throwaway art. So literally the brochures for the parks and things like that, he's done the art for those. He did them for many, many, many years, and still does do them for Disney World, for Disney parks, for Disney Cruise Line. And so he will do a a talk. He may sign prints. He might actually do some drawings on the fly. There's also some other, folks from Imagineering. I think last year they did a special presentation that was about the documentary that was done about the Goofy movie. And so the folks who had actually put that movie together were on board and did a talk about it. I wouldn't be surprised if they invite maybe Leslie Iwerks or somebody like that on board to do presentations about Disneyland handcrafted documentary. They might even do special presentations of different documentaries
what about
Disney.
a little Josh Gad? I mean, we're going to be right near LA. Like, let's get
I
Josh
mean,
Gad.
yeah, there's usually special guests on board. Yeah. I mean,
those things are, pretty normal. I've heard before the lady who does Ariel's voice was on. And so she's done cruises, Imagineers, the special guests that they bring in. And from what I'm told, it's the expenses of bringing in all of these special guests, because you kind of have to pay them to be there. And you have to pay all of their expenses and everything else. And that's not a revenue generating room at that point in time. And then all of the swag that they buy you and put into your room. And like special DVC member only exclusive on that cruise, limited edition swag is in your room. And so you're paying for all of that. So they're pricey. Like let's be completely honest. They're pricey.
And as Ed points out in the chat,
there's a reason.
You need to bring like an empty suitcase to haul home all this swag. This is not like there's a lot that they give to you to sort of celebrate, the member sailing. I also want to, I think one really unique thing that Disney announced, they have not given details about this yet, but they said in the announcement about the cruise, as an added bonus, Disney Vacation Club is collaborating with Disney Cruise Line to create custom port adventures for our sailing's 2-day stop in San Francisco with insider access to Disney-connected places in and around the city by the bay. And so, Chad, you pointed out before the show, the Disney Family Museum is there.
Which is really phenomenal. Yeah.
And Skywalker Ranch is, just north of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So I will be curious to see what kind of experiences they trot out.
ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, is right there as well.
Oh,
in Marin County. So
well, where is Skywalker Ranch is also home to Lucas. What's the name of his studio? Why am I blanking?
Lucasfilms.
Yeah, but he has a special name. It's like DreamWorks or something. Anyway, there's the special side.
Industrial Light and Magic, or
maybe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, but So,
and Pixar is in Emeryville. Ed is saying in the chat.
Yeah, I was wondering about Pixar.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of Disney-connected places in Northern California. They're not all in LA and Burbank, right? Or Glendale, right? They're not all in Southern California. There are some in Northern California. And so, especially with a 2-day stop, even ones that are a little bit further away, there's enough time, particularly on that first day in San Francisco, assuming you get in early, even if you're doing, an hour and a half bus ride somewhere, there's enough time. Yeah.
Well, and as Nathan points out, the Skywalker Ranch is a vineyard, and then it's also got some of the studio production for Lucas. So there's a lot.
I love their wines. Yeah, I want to go. I want to go do wine tasting at Skywalker Ranch.
Delicious.
Yeah. But folks are asking, are the presenters sometimes like sort of overlapped with things like Festival of the Arts? And the answer is yes. Like some of the folks that you will see that are sort of regulars at like things like, people who come to Candlelight Processional, people who come to Festival of the Arts, people who come to, sort of all the different, or D23, right? Like the Disney Legend family, I'll put those people, and like the famous Imagineers, right? Those are the kinds of people, and you will see them in multiple places, but they'll do unique presentations.
If NPH showed up, Neil Patrick Harris showed up on board, I would die. Like that is like
Legend.
Harry.
I've seen him at
Yeah, that's right.
Let's just logistically really fast. Sam mentioned up front, to book this cruise, you do have to be a Blue Card member with Disney Vacation Club. Now, unlike those first wave sailings I mentioned, you will be able to book your entire cruise on cash. You will be able to book some of it on points if you want. We're going to talk to Chad in a minute about why that is a good or a bad idea. But you don't have to, unlike the first wave sailings, you don't have to use your points. You just have to have a Blue Card in order to book the sailing. Not everyone has to be a blue card member in your stateroom, so to speak. And usually they let DVC members, book multiple rooms so you can bring others on who themselves are not vacation club members. In fact, I think Disney would like that, because then one of the big things on board, and Chad, I don't know if you know anything about like how big these discounts are. I've never been on one of these cruises, so I don't know, but like they usually, the on board,
they may or may not get a special exception for that one.
Yeah.
That's a sensitive topic in the DVC area, because it used to be that you would get special incentives on the cruise ship, and then people weren't buying on land because they're like, I'll just wait to book a cruise. And I plan on saving enough on the special cruise incentives that I'll just pay for my cruise that way. I get a free cruise out of the deal.
Yeah.
And so it started negatively impacting land sales, and they started to squish all of that, or at least they say they have. My, data points have kind of shown some discrepancies there, but
yeah.
So your mileage may vary, right?
Well, normally on these member cruises, they actually gave not just like whatever discounts were on the ship, they were actually giving steeper discounts. They're like trying to push like points as like, a moneymaker on these cruises. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
I do know from my friends that have been on the DVC sales teams, the more members that are on a cruise, the more desirable it is for them, because the easiest person to sell points to is an existing member.
Yeah.
Like the add-on-itis is real, and, they don't, they're just there to sell points, right?
Well, they may have.
I know, this cruise has a ton of members on it. I want to sign up to be the sales guy on that cruise, because my odds are a lot better at selling more points.
Well, they may have that. I don't know when that, I forget the name of the Lakeside Lodge. That could be on sale by then, right? The new one they're building?
It could be, or it could be pre-sale by then for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's
the building is still looking pretty rough today. And so last time I was by there, it was still like cemented, and there was no like shell on it. Some of the windows were in, some of them weren't, but nothing had paint or.
Yeah.
Well, DVC hasn't really announced it, right? I mean, they still kind of deny that it's even happening, I feel like, at times. So, yeah.
Yeah, the haunted river country, right?
Well, yeah. All right, so let's talk about, Chad, let me just give the booking date. So this will go on sale on February, is it 28th?
28th.
Yes, February 28th.
Saturday.
It will go on sale at 10 a.m.
Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific.
Yep, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. They're going to be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for booking. That is a Saturday, so they're not normally open, but they will be staffed to book. There is no one thing we were talking about off air, and we can go off on the rant here. I'll let Chad go first, but they do not do any kind of priority booking, either based on your Castaway Club status or the number of points you own with DVC. It is literally a free-for-all booking. Everyone is on equal footing. Personally, don't love it, but Chad, how do you feel about that?
I'm all for DVC class warfare here. Okay. That's what we call it on my show, where I think if you've bought 1,000 members direct from Disney, you ought to have some perks. You ought to be able to book this a day or two ahead of time. You ought to be able to book Moonlight Magic a day or two ahead of time. That's just my own personal take on it. And they should be throwing some bones to people who have bought more with some kind of tiers and status. But unfortunately, we have none of that. Mm-hmm. It is just a free-for-all that day. And good luck navigating the phone tree system.
Or membership magic. People bought that membership magic. Why is it not a perk that they might get a first grab at?
The membership magic beyond, which is my pro tip. If you're going to do this cruise, there's typically like a $95 fee to transition your points from
they're waiving
vacation points. Oh, they are waiving that?
They're waiving that on this cruise. They are waiving the $95 fee on this cruise for transferring points.
But this is good info anyway. For another cruise, if you are going to be using your points to book a different cruise, Chad, tell them what they should do.
Yeah, just throw down the $99 for this Membership Magic Beyond program through DVC. You will get front-of-the-line access to the lounges. Here in Walt Disney World, you'll get a 30-day photo pass, right? So if you're not an annual pass holder that buys the annual photo thing like I do, I mean, that's a $200 value right there, okay? Mm-hmm. Just the photo pass thing alone. you get buy one, get one free use points. Your one-time use points become BOGO. And buy one, get one. And if you have multiple member numbers, the $199 fee will get you BOGO on both of your memberships.
Oh, that's really nice. Okay. Yeah.
And
Well, so now for this one, you don't need to have the membership magic beyond, but I agree with you, Chad. I think if you had that, you should, like Brian was suggesting, have, sort of a leg up on it. I would pay that $99 for the leg up on booking. I will just say that. While I don't love the idea of pay to play, I understand it. It is fair. And that's how Disney works generally.
Sorry, on the membership magic, Chad, is it per, this is something you just said is really interesting to me because I haven't thought about that. Do you buy once for all of your contracts?
No.
No. So you have to buy for each?
Well, you buy once per member. Okay.
Got it.
So last year I bought it, and Laura, my wife, went to go to the lounge and couldn't get front of the line access because the $99 was on me. Now, if she paid $99, she could have it as well, but she's not going to get the BOGO points because I already used them.
Right.
So she'd probably still get the 30-day photo thing, but you're really going to need 2 30-day ones? Maybe if you're coming twice to Disney World. You also get some decent discounts on Disneyland tickets and Disney World tickets.
Yep.
So they're decent and respectable, right?
Yeah.
So check it out and see if it works for your family. I think it's phenomenal. I bought it the first year just to do podcast research. And then when they offered it this year, I was like, sign me up.
Yeah. We have not bought it ourselves. We have, because we just haven't needed the BOGO points. I think that if we needed that, I think that we would be in on it. Or if we were going to be at the parks a lot and we're going to use the lounges a lot, right? That would be the other benefit as well. We really haven't hit the parks very much in the last couple of years since they introduced this. And then we haven't needed the extra points.
I thought I was going to need them for our Alani stay this past time. I'd end up just like using other points that we had available. But yeah, the BOGO point thing, Chad's done some excellent research, and I'm sure there's a specific episode of your show about
You're
this.
Getting them for $10 a point. The dues are averaging like $10 a point now.
Yeah.
So you don't have to buy the point, because if you buy the points at today's prices, you're going to pay about $3 resale to $5 a point, hard cost for the point itself.
Yeah.
Plus you're going to pay the dues on that.
Yeah.
This way you just pay the $10 and you're done.
Yeah.
And the only trick is you can only book at the 7-month window with them.
Yeah. Okay. So that's helpful to know. So you don't get your 11-month priority on them. You only get the 7-month priority on them.
That's why I didn't use them this time, because I thought I could buy them and use them at 11 months. And then
then you're like, I can use, I'll use the points I already have at a different resort. That makes sense. Well, let's pivot over to the booking. Do I book on cash? Do I book on points? Chad, you've done all the math. You have all the wisdom. Do you ever book a cruise on points, whether it be a member cruise or any other?
No, not me. That's just no. That's That's just bad. Because I can get $20 a point on just going into a Facebook group or offering them to friends and family on a rental. And I can do that all day long. Now, I have a reputation. People are very comfortable for me because, hey, here's my podcast, all that. So I don't have any issues in the world with that as well, because I'm not going to host somebody just based on who I am. Well, and my ethics of being a personal person, right? But the average person can go on Facebook, and there's Facebook groups that are dedicated for this. I don't really talk about them on my show too much, although we're going to create an episode on personal rentals just because it's a monster that's out there we have to talk about. But you can go to like our sponsor, DVC Rental Store, and they will give you $16 to $18 a point for it with minimal hassle. Right? It's
so then you rent
how much
your
hassle
points.
factor do you want, right?
Yeah. So if you're going to use points to pay for your cruise, your statement is you rent those points either direct to somebody else or through DVC Rental Store or somebody like them. And then you're getting the cash and use the cash to pay for the cruise directly with Disney Cruise Line or with or through your travel, your personal travel advisor.
Right. I mean, would you rather get $20 a point, $18 a point, $16 a point, or last I looked, now this was like 2025 data, $8.47 per point on the swap, right?
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty bad.
And you can easily do that math when this point chart comes out, because you can say, hey, if I pay cash for this, it's, this amount. If I use points for the person, it's this amount. Well, divide the two. And then you're going to see really quick and easy what math they used for a price per point basis. And then go, if you're comfortable with that, a lot of times it's less than the cost of your dues. So I'm like, I'm giving you the points, I'm giving you some of my dues money, and I'm still getting less.
Yeah. Ed's pointing out you still have to pay you have to pay taxes on the rental, but I don't think that's going to shift the metric enough for it to matter here. To your point, it's like the difference between...
Yeah, if you use a rental company, you're definitely getting a 1099. So that's, if you do a friends and family, they should give you one. Whether they do, who knows? That's up to you to figure that out with the IRS and report it, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you do the swap, there is it's a swap, and there is no tax implications. That's the beautiful part about that.
Well, and I'm just looking.
Beautiful part.
I'm looking at the points chart for this year's member cruise. So you need, I'm just going off the lowest category. So you need 370 points per person for the first two guests on an inside cabin. That works out to about $9.16 a point is what they're offering now. So they've gone up a little, but not a lot. Yeah. And that's still well below what rental market would give you.
Ed makes a comment here I just want to clarify. He says you can't do a swap for a DVC member cruise. Swap is a rental company term, but it's also, when you get into the IRS trade, there's bartering groups, and that's kind of a swap thing that you're doing with Disney as well. You're trading your points for it, right? It's an even exchange at that point in time, or no money's being exchanged in that. So yeah, that's a tax-free thing to do it directly through Disney. So I call them all swaps, because you're just trading your points as opposed to converting something to cash and then using cash.
Right. Now you are allowed to use points. Just to be clear, you are allowed, so that people don't get confused by Ed's comment. You are allowed to use points to pay for a DVC member cruise. You are not required to use points to pay for a DVC member cruise. And Chad's argument is, when you're looking at the dollars and cents of it all, it does not make sense to pay with points. It makes sense to pay with cash. And if you're not going to use your points, do something else with those points, like rent them.
To rent them, and then determine what hassle factor you're comfortable with.
Right.
Do you want minimal hassle factor? Then use a rental company to broker the deal for you. If you're willing to do a little bit more work and kiss a few more frogs to find a date that works for people and book a room and all that back and forth stuff, then you can find your own renters yourself. But you get paid more, right? But I'll tell you this, having done it both ways, the brokers earn their money. It's not as easy as it sounds, as that, I just find somebody and book the dates. There's a lot of back and forth on it.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to highlight, just from a booking standpoint really fast. We skipped over this, but for the how to book, you're not calling Disney Cruise Line. Let's just be super clear about this. If you wake up in the morning, you call Disney Cruise Line, they will have no idea what you're talking about. You need to call DVC Member Services and go through the phone tree to book the sailing. They also, just to highlight for folks and for completeness here, they give some tips on the website for simplifying your booking phone calls. So information to have available to make this as fast as possible for you. Have your member number ready. Have the first, second, and third choices of stateroom, because they're not actually booking it into the Disney Cruise Line system, so they don't know what staterooms are being taken offline as they book. They're literally, as we sort of know behind the scenes, filling out spreadsheets, and it becomes a preference. And so as they fill out the spreadsheet with your information, it's possible your first choice is like an inside cabin. If they have too many of those, they're going to default you back to, well, what was your second choice cabin? And if that's gone, what was your third choice? If you have special dietary needs, you want to have those ready. Special medical needs, they'll want to have those ready. If you're a Castaway Club member, have your Castaway Club number. your legal name and middle initial as it appears, physical home address, home telephone number, date of birth, and citizenship and nationality. But yes, so those are the items that the Disney Vacation Club has specifically asked for you to have available when you book.
And you can request a specific room number even. We did that so the DVC First Wave cruises, which are not official member cruises, but I'll call them member cruises light. Those are booked the same way. And I know that when we booked the one for the Wish, we actually had our exact stateroom number that we were booked on for the Wish maiden voyage. And we said, we want this stateroom so that we could get the same stateroom so that we didn't have to move rooms. So we were able to book, even though we booked through two different entities, right? We booked one through Disney Cruise Line, the other through DVC. We were able to get the same stateroom.
So just two comments in the chat I want to cover. So Nathan says, "Oh boy, this sounds like a logistical nightmare." It is.
It's more difficult than a regular booking through DCL. That's why we're doing a show about it.
Yeah, go ahead, Chad.
When I had mine booked, I have a college age kid, and she wasn't going to come, and she was going to come, and she wasn't going to come. Do you know how much headache and hassle it was to try to get her booked when she said she wanted to come?
Yeah.
And we had booked a room that would hold 5 people just in case, right? But just getting her added, they were like, well, we don't know if we can. There's limits. There's this. There's...
Yeah.
No one could give me a straight answer for 2-3 months.
Well, yeah. And behind the scenes here, what's happening is Disney Vacation Club has chartered this ship. They have paid money to Disney Cruise Line to say, we're taking over the ship for this week. And then they manage all the bookings, all the onboard gifts, all of that stuff. And so Disney Cruise Line sort of has nothing to do with this until DVC sends them these spreadsheets to load into the Disney Cruise Line system and sign out all the staterooms. To the point in the chat, when do you get booking confirmation? I think DVC gives you something at the end of the call that's your number, but you will not see this in your Disney Cruise Line app for probably several months. So it will just
time.
It takes a while for it to load into the app. So just know that you're not going to see it immediately pop up in your cruise line app. The other good comment here is a good reminder, which is, unlike a Disney cruise, you are not paying a deposit when you book. You pay the whole thing up front. So if you're paying on cash, you're paying the stateroom right up front. It is not a deposit and then a pay in full. You pay in full immediately at the end of the phone call. So sometimes they do a thing where I think for one of the cruises we did, they did a thing where they said, okay, someone's going to call you back within the next 2 days to take your credit card number, and they called back later that afternoon.
That happened to me when I booked as well. They wouldn't even, and I think they didn't do it because they didn't want to get into the whole recorded line deal for all of the privacy stuff with that. And that's extra handle time when the call center is getting swamped. They want to get those callers in and out of there, right? And handle as many people as they possibly can that day. So they're like, yeah, we'll just call you back and do the credit card. That's happened before, whether, we don't know what's going to happen with this one until we actually do it.
Yeah. And Beth, to your question in the chat, can you bring family or friends? Yeah. A member has to book the sailing. So, they have to sail with you and book the sailing, but you don't have to have it. Not everyone in your stateroom needs to be members. And as I recall, you can book multiple staterooms as a member. So you can bring the whole family.
You can book, I think 2 though. I don't think you can book more than, I think one member can book 2 staterooms. I don't think you can book more than that unless you have obviously more members. Yeah. And then there's questions about room numbers. Yes, you choose your room number, you get that room unless there's some glitch that's happened, and then they'll call you back and they'll give you a different room. But typically when you're on the phone at that time, you're actually booking a specific room.
Actually here it's members may book a maximum of 4 staterooms per membership. So that is
okay.
That is
all right. So it's more than I thought.
Know before you go. They also mentioned something here go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, Brian. I just imagine a call center where everybody answering the phone is sharing the same Excel document in Teams and marking rooms
never
off
creates
as booked.
issues.
Yeah.
Right. Which that never had. Yeah.
That never creates issues.
Well, and I will say that this is one where if you are particular about your room category, you need to be on and ready to call right away because they do book up. And so even even if you have you like a room category that has a ton of rooms on the ship, if your room category just happens to be a popular one, it can book up real fast. For example, I bet that the lowest level concierge rooms, I bet will go in like the first 10 minutes.
Maybe. I mean, people have been noting that they've called in late and still been able to book rooms. They do have a wait list process if you call in later, and
That's true. If you
it's
call in
sold
later.
out. And they do contact people off the wait. People cancel, and they do contact people off the wait list.
Yes, there. If you don't get in immediately, but you get on the wait list, if you get on the wait list like that same day or the very next day, there's a real good chance you'll get in.
The other thing we do not know about this sailing, to be perfectly transparent, is they have not published the points chart yet. So the points chart will outline sort of how many points you need and how much cash you need. If you want to book the sailing, you can do a mix, however you want to do it. But that is, when you read that points chart, it's per person, not per stateroom. So when you see 370 reservation points for a deck 2 standard inside stateroom, if you're trying to book both people, you gotta double that. It's 600. What is that? 740 points to book that stateroom. Or it is today it's $3,389. Now, the nice thing about this is, unlike Disney Cruise Line, where they publish rates and they kind of tick up over time as the ship fills, and then maybe they come down or going, whatever the price is published by DVC does not change for the life of this sailing. So if you end up calling later, and there's still room available, you're paying the same price as if you booked on day one. So the only reason to call on day one is if you've got like a specific category of room that you really want to book, or if this cruise turns out to be very popular, it could sell quickly. So just know that going in.
Brian, some of them they have discounted later on because they're like, the ship is nowhere near capacity, like fire sale. They have done that on occasion as well for some of these DVC chartered cruises.
Yeah. Well, and I'm seeing some comments in the chat. Concierge and inside staterooms are booked up first. I absolutely think that's true. Particularly the lower level concierge rooms book up first, even though there's more of them than, let's say, Royal Suites. But just because that price is so high on those 2 Royal Suites, those are they'll probably book that first day. They won't book first. And I see Nathan is in the chat saying that I better have a good strategy if I want one of those Royal Suites. I'm not booking that Royal Suite, Nathan, but that would be lovely.
To give you a sense, if you want a sense of what this cruise could cost, and I'm not saying it's going to be a direct comparison, you can head over and see the 2026 Northern Europe, or is it Northern Europe? Anyway, it's European Disney Cruise Line sailing that they're doing in 2026. You can get a sense of what they cost. And so to Sam's point, the Royal Suite is $23,459 per person.
Yeah. I am not booking that. Don't worry.
And I should say there's a separate place in the chart where they detail out. So first and second guest are what you're seeing on this chart. And then there's a sub chart for each additional guest is like a fixed amount of points, points or cash, regardless of kind of the stateroom category. It's just broken down by children 2 and under, children 3 to 12, and then ages 13 and up considered adult. So it's the same kind of setup as a regular cruise where the first 2 passengers pay kind of, the highest amount, and then the third, 4th, 5th pay a reduced fee. So,
yeah. So I want to talk just a second about strategies for calling in, because Chad is an expert on
don't
this.
give away our secrets.
But what I want to tell you is you got to have that number, programmed into your phone and dial that number right when the time hits 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You want to be ready with all of that information. If you want to familiarize yourself with the DVC phone tree, it won't be exactly the same on the day of, but you can familiarize yourself with the DVC phone tree. A phone tree meaning what you press in order to get through the menu, that sort of a thing. So those are sort of the tricks of the trade for getting through quickly. But it can be very frustrating. I just say, pack your patience pants, because you can get disconnected. I'd also say my other tip is have more than one person trying to call at the same time. If you are a family that has, let's say, 2 adults, you might want to both be on your cell phones trying to call, because one of you might just have the magic touch and the other one might not have the magic touch. And, if you're sailing with friends, you can always kind of try and tag team it and book for each other, frankly, if one of you gets through.
Yeah, if memory serves me correctly, last time when we did this, Sam, because call center technology is my day job, I knew how to fly through this thing like the back of my hand because I do test calls to these systems all day. So I was literally the first person answered, got mine booked, and then I said, hey, is it okay if I, bring in my friends Brian and Sam, and I just did a 3-way call with you and brought you straight in, and you didn't have to do all of that stuff. So.
Exactly. Now, we were trying to call on our own also, but we were in the waiting room. We did not get through it with lightning speed like Chad did, even though we had done some practicing of trying to get through the call tree faster, but we do not have the practice that Chad has. So, if you have a friend like Chad, then you're probably at the
that was the pro tip I was going to reserve for the after booking show. Chad, I have one question for you here because I don't.
Okay, so y'all need to join Brian and Sam's Patreon. Yeah, we just gave you Patreon exclusive content.
There you go. There you go. I have a question for you here because I'm looking at the Know Before You Go from DVC, and now I'm questioning my strategy. But it says, effective March 21st, 2011, members who do not acquire their ownership interest directly from Disney will not be able to use those vacation points to make reservations for the member cruise. So can you only use your direct Blue Card points to book this sailing?
If you were going to book on points.
So there's like phases of restrictions. 2011 was the first phase, and the first thing they said was you can't use your points for cruises or other things.
Got it.
Right? And then 2016, they stepped it up again. 2019, they really hit us hard with like the Riviera restrictions. And over time, it's been like when I first bought in, if you had 25 points direct, you were a Blue Card member. That was it. So everybody would just go buy their points on resale, do a 25-point add-on, and call it a day.
Yeah.
And Disney has since slowly incremented that till it's up to the 150 now. So yes, the only points you can use to book this are points that you bought from Disney or are pre-2011 if you bought them resale.
Which just underscores your advice of there's nothing preventing you from renting those points that are not direct and then taking the cash and applying it to the member cruise. So, that strategy unlocks a whole additional world of points for you if you are Blue Card, but you have a ton of resale in addition to your Blue Card. So, that's...
I mean, I have a friend who didn't talk to me, and he's here at Disney now, and I think he paid over 17 grand for a room at Saratoga, and he's here for like 10 nights. But I did the math and I was like, dude, I could have rented you my points for half that.
Oh my God. That's crazy, Chad.
Yeah. So it's like the cash rate is insane. So that's why the market works so well for renting points is you can save people buku bucks for the exact same room that he's in a 2-bedroom at Saratoga.
Yeah. So I got to ask the ultimate question, Chad. Now, before the show, you had, hadn't even considered booking this cruise. Have we convinced you to book along with us on this DVC member cruise? Because we are booking. So if we actually are able to get through this phone tree craziness and get our reservation on this cruise, we'll be canceling our treasure cruise that we have booked for 2027. Well, we will repurpose it. It will no longer be our spring break treasure cruise. We will move it because it overlaps with this cruise. We can't do them both. Like literally, they're overlapped by like 3 days, so it's not possible for us to be 2 places at once, despite the fact that I've been trying to acquire that superpower for years. But have we convinced you to get on board with us?
You guys are the tempting factor. Right? I mean, sailing with DCL Duo guys is like, if you can get on a cruise ship with them, that is a phenomenal fun time. I'm just saying you guys are the stars that I would be going to cruise with, right?
Not with Mickey.
So not with Mickey, not anybody else, but knowing I could probably hit you up for that rebook treasure cruise and do that one and just drive to port. That would be more ideal for me. But I've done this cruise. Like we did this. Yeah. We didn't go up to San Francisco, but we did Catalina. We did Ensenada. I probably wouldn't get off the ship again. And so Catalina was cool. I'd get off and walk around and hopefully not have the fogs and the horns, but be prepared for cold. Like, and I'm a Floridian now. It's cold down here now. I'm having to wear my sweatshirt inside the house because it's like 40 something out there. And like, this is just it's not the way things are supposed to be down here.
I did want to say, I almost read this. I'm going to read it now. Like, I love the way they describe Ensenada. Arrive in Ensenada, Mexico, renowned for its scenic landscapes, historic sites, and lively downtown area. I'm with you, Chad. I'm going to stay on the ship in Ensenada, probably. Maybe I'll get off and get some tacos. But yeah. We are definitely booking this sailing if we can kind of get through and get a room on board. To the point Linda raised earlier in the chat, we had been talking for quite a while about how we wanted to go back to Alaska in 2027. We were going to make it the unofficial podcast cruise. Unfortunately, doing this sailing, I think will mean, and some other things that are happening in 2027 for me personally, I think it will mean we don't go to Alaska in 27. We will push that out probably to 2028. Maybe we'll repurpose the treasure sailing for Alaska. So I'm just going to say, like, if you are a DVC member and you're looking to get on this cruise and you're a listener, we might make this the unofficial DCL Duo podcast.
Yeah, and guess what?
cruise.
There'll be lots of swag. It won't be from me, but there'll be lots of swag from DVC. I mean, I'll have plenty. I'll have magnets. I'll make a special. Well, I should say,
okay.
Brian will make a special magnet for this cruise.
I'm putting my Karen hat on right now. Karen, your sponsor, and I'm calling flag on the play. Like, the official DCL cruise, you got to book through My Path Unwinding Travel with you guys.
Yes.
So no, this cannot be. Nope.
Yes, this.
Well,
can't
no, that's
be
why
official.
this is the
That's why
unofficial.
This will be unofficial.
Unofficial podcast.
This is unofficial.
Cruise.
Unofficial.
Yeah, the official one will probably make it Alaska 2028. So yeah, of course. But
I might be willing to go back then because this summer we're hitting Alaska with my family after years and years and years and years of trying to get my family on a cruise, Brian. It's looking like it's going to happen this time. I have faith.
Yeah. Yay.
Right?
Keep the faith.
I have faith.
Tracy's saying in the chat,
incredible.
Keep talking, Brian. Someone else needs to give. I know exactly who that is. And because we provide that white glove personal touch on this podcast, Michael, book this cruise. There,
book
Tracy,
this cruise. February 28th, Michael, 7 a.m. Eastern.
Yes.
Sorry, 10 a.m. Eastern on 7 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, Michael's going to be pretty upset if he wakes up at 7 a.m. and calls. Chad, as we wind down here, I just want to tell our listeners, you have, in my mind, the premier DVC podcast. I learned so much from you.
We learned everything from you, Chad. Everything we know about DVC, we learned from
and
Chad.
I know
and
so
still,
little.
whenever we have DVC questions, he's the person that we call or text immediately. We do not try to figure out these questions because it's actually quite complicated.
He's the reason we own it, Alani.
Yeah, that's true. He sent us that resale contract. He was like, I think you guys need this contract. And it was, we have never looked back. So, but yeah, Chad, tell folks where they can find you and the My DVC Points podcast.
Sure. It's very simple. It's just My DVC Points, and it's available in any place you're going to find podcasts. There is some content on YouTube, although we started to shy away from that just because the numbers and the hassle weren't panning out for us. So, but the podcast is going strong. We do a variety of shows, and any given month, you're going to hear like a financial market recap show for my financial analyst nerds. You're going to usually hear a membership journey story, which is where I interview somebody on how did you get into DVC? What home resorts did you buy? Where have you stayed? What have you learned? What advice do you have for new people that are listening to this and researching it? You're going to hear some of those, and then we try to sneak in two spicier contents. Like one of them we're working on now is where's the wrong side of the tracks in Orlando? Okay. Here, what resorts are on the wrong side of the tracks for you? And we'll all kind of say that and kind of go over it because everybody has their own opinions here.
Right. Is that off property? Is that value resorts, moderate resorts, that sort of a thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Or is it if you ain't on the monorail, you on the wrong side of the tracks? Like, there's people that are
how
like
bougie
that as
are
well.
you? It's really
But I mean, it's all about member experiences. You're gonna hear from real members on the show, and they're going to tell you what we like, what we don't like. We're going to be respectful, but we're going to be brutally honest with you as well. Because I think you can talk to the salespeople at Disney. You can talk to the resale guides. At the end of the day, they're there to sell you a point. Mm-hmm. Our show is designed to help you make a great decision to whether is DVC right for you guys or not. And if it's a great product, it's a good fit, buy in. We'll help you make all the decisions along the way. If it's not a great one, stay away. Like, do what's best for your family. That's the whole thing in our show. Educate yourself and do what's best. That's our mission statement for the show, and that's what we pretty well do a great job of doing. I'm fairly convinced that we do have the best educational content that's out there.
Yeah, I
love
not
necessarily the we're not necessarily the entertainment people out there to make you laugh and all that, right? There's people that beat us there, but that's not our goal. Like, I'm true to who I am. I'm a teacher, and I want everybody to make great decisions and have great family memories.
Yeah, I love that you're kind of like I always say there's no one right way to do DCL. I think you're kind of bringing the information and knowledge to your audience, but there's like no one right way to do DVC. You just need to seriously educate yourself and make the decisions that make sense for you, right?
We have to point to some comments though, because Ed is saying Chad is why we bought our first 100-point contract. Now we have 700 plus points. And Rob is saying Chad is the reason I own DVC, and Sam and Brian are the reason I'm obsessed with DCL. So I love all of those comments. You guys are, thanks for listening to us, and thanks for listening to Chad. I mean, we've said this before on the show, but Chad is one of the most I think influential people on our podcast. He taught us a ton of what we now know, and how we started our podcast was with a lot of advice and time that Chad was so gracious in offering us. And so we're so excited, of course, whenever we get to have him back on our show. We're always excited when we can see him when we're down in Florida. And we just got to say thank you, Chad, for coming on tonight's show, especially on last minute notice. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys have been a blessing in my life as well, personally, professionally, working together, everything as well. I will jump on any cruise ship that I can with you guys, Sam. My swing factor on this one, I'll just be brutally honest. I took a lot of heat for pulling Lincoln out of school on that last San Diego cruise.
Yeah, I hear you.
And this is like almost 2 weeks. Like, I don't know that I can go through that again. Yeah, and if I did this cruise without my wingman, like it wasn't fun when the kids realized I was on a cruise ship, and they're like, "Dad, why do we see you in the middle of the ocean on Find My?" And you have some splaining to do. And it was like, well, I'm not going to lie to you where I'm at, but I didn't tell you that I'm doing cruise runs to get my number up for status. Like these cheap 3-nighters as Florida residents. Like
it ultimately benefits you that I'm here on this ship right now, because my status will elevate your experience. Yeah, I totally
absolutely.
Yeah. Now I'm going to be gold, and I can book the cool stuff when we go to Alaska. That was the whole master plan, and they kind of bought that. They did see the value and the benefit for that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
and I had to promise to buy them placeholders and take them. So
there you go. Yeah.
That too.
Well, I want to echo Sam's thanks, Chad, for filling in last minute here. It's always fun to catch up with you. For our audience out there who've hung with us, we will be back next week, regular time, Monday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and we will be welcoming our friends Haley and Drew, who are going to come on to talk about their first sailing aboard the Disney Destiny. Always a fun time to hear what people think about the newest ship. Well, I guess she's the second newest ship in the fleet.
She's the newest. No, she's still the newest. The Adventure has not sailed with passengers yet. So she's still the newest. And it's going to be really fun because Drew is a hardcore Marvel fan. And so it's going to be, I think, really fun to kind of hear their thoughts. They're also really big into, entertainment, and Haley loves all the shows. And so I think it will be really interesting to see their take on all the meet and play activities on board the Disney Destiny and what they were able to accomplish on, I believe it was a 5-night sailing. So I would be interested to hear from them. Now they don't have children, but it'll be interesting to hear from them as to how much they were able to accomplish on their sailing, because one of the things that one of our only criticisms about the Destiny is there's just too much to do in 4 or 5 nights. So we will be back next week, our regular time. So it'll be on 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And with that, we will just say good night, everyone. Thanks for listening, and hope to see you real soon on the high seas.
Bye, everybody.
Good night.